Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Good to meet you.
I'm Daniel.
Devin.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to Obsidian.
Thank you.
Looking
Glad to
forward
be here.
to getting to know you a little bit better today
Of course.
and seeing if you're a good fit for our open position.
Yeah.
So we got a couple questions for you. So could we open up by, can you tell us about yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So currently I'm a third-year computer science major at the University of California, Irvine. So very close by. Sorry. And I have had a very, very deep love of video gaming and software development for a while. And video gaming was actually kind of the root of that. When I was younger, I played games like World of Warcraft and stuff like that, and it really spurred my interest for how are these things made. You create an entire world inside of a computer, and it just really fascinated me. But I really value my interpersonal communication skills and just kind of my soft skills, things like just communication and teamwork, things like that. And then on top of that, as far as like how I personally view my life, I'm very centered on my family, and my father especially is a very big role model for me, and he pushed me really hard to get into a field that I enjoyed, and so I have to thank him for me being here in some respects.
That's great to hear. Awesome. So why are you interested in working at Obsidian?
You mean Obsidian as opposed to
other companies? Yeah, there's a lot of great companies out there, for software development. It's a huge field. But why Obsidian Entertainment in particular?
Well, as mentioned before, big game company, so automatically it was attracting to me. But on top of that, Obsidian in particular has been a producer of games that I've enjoyed for a very long time. One of the older games, like Knights of the Republic, it's a Star Wars game from a while ago, was one that I really enjoyed. And, I've always kind of wanted to repay companies whose games I've enjoyed by, if I can, making games for them and, helping them in their process. And so that's why when I saw your ad, I jumped right on it and really went for it.
Cool. So have you played games from other companies?
Well, I've certainly played games for other companies.
So what do you think makes Obsidian games stand out compared to the rest, in your opinion?
I honestly think a lot of their story design is just fantastic. I'm always just, right on my computer, like staring at a screen, just, edge of my seat storytelling. Plus, as far as like technical stuff goes, they seem to be well optimized and, very few bugs and crashes, things like that. So, I guess things like that. I just really kind of appreciate your efficiency.
Yeah, we appreciate you noticing these things. We really have a team that puts a lot of passion into the games we create here. So we want to get to know a little bit more about your how you work kind of thing, like your abilities to collaborate in teams, things like that. So could you tell us a little bit about, first off, your greatest strength?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, I feel like communication, things like soft skills are really where I stand out. And so, working through problems with people and, making sure that everyone is on the same page about, whatever we may be working on or, talking about. Things like that are really where I believe my greatest strengths lie. I feel like in any situation I can get along at least well enough to get the job done and get it done well, and obviously I'm not going to like every person, but I'm going to make sure that doesn't get in the way of anything, and I'm going to make sure that everybody gets everything done that needs to be done.
Right, absolutely. How about your greatest weakness? What would you say?
Greatest weakness is probably personal confidence. I feel like in the past, especially maybe right as I graduated high school, I struggled with having confidence in my own decisions and really sticking with them, and I always needed someone to tell me what to do as opposed to just taking initiative and getting it done myself. But in the more recent years where I've been in college and also on the job market, I've been forced to be in these positions where I can't rely on someone else's decision to tell me what to do. So I've had to, make my decisions and stick with them, and generally they've gone well. I feel like, that's been a big boost to my self-esteem and just personal, decision-making, and I feel like while I still have minor issues with it, it's really something I've been working on.
That's good. Cool. Great. Awesome. So could you tell us about a time where you worked in a collaborative setting and you ran into some sort of conflict? How did you take incentive in rectifying that conflict, and what did you learn from that incident experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So recently, actually, I had a kind of a disagreement with a roommate. I won't leave it. I'll leave the names out of this, but he kind of just on a whim one day left the house, and he didn't really give much of an explanation why. And so obviously this was kind of a shock, and it ended up being kind of irritating because now I have to find a roommate and all this extra work that we didn't expect to have to do. So I ended up trying to get a little bit of compensation for just up and leaving from him, and it actually got rather heated, and it kind of tore a bit of a rift in our friendship. But then after that, I realized that I was being irrational, and I came back like after maybe half an hour of just calming down, talked to him, and we really were able to settle things out in a positive way.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to give you a hypothetical question about like maybe something that happens in a workplace. So suppose that you have a deadline to meet for a project, and your boss is kind of just looming telling you gotta get this done. So what would you do in this situation? Maybe this is your immediate superior, and you're just like, it's gotta be done by tomorrow, and you don't think you're close to done. What would you do?
Well, I mean, I suppose the first step would be, double down. Really make sure I'm not getting any distractions or anything like that. Inform my team if, I am working on one, that they also need to do the same, and that this is a hard deadline and we really just need to meet. But in the case where it really just isn't feasible, I would go to my boss and try to explain to him and work out a possible solution, maybe where. We know that we can't finish it, and maybe here give us an extension, or, maybe we can just work something out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And what if in this situation you were working on a team, right? But you had a teammate who just wasn't going to contribute, just didn't want to contribute. He's like, oh, I got to go out tonight or something, and then after repeated encouragement to work, right? Because you got to meet this deadline, he just doesn't budge. What would you do?
Well, I think in that case, if I'd already, attempted to really get him to, do his work, I would bring it up to the boss, whoever that may be, and see maybe what they recommend, and then, act on that. Otherwise, I would maybe try and have a much more personal talk with him, instead of just saying, oh, hey, you mind, working on this. I'd probably sit down and be like, okay, well, I've noticed recently that you're not, outputting as much as I think you may need to.
Right.
And then, try and work it out with him in a more personal setting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Great. Okay, so you're applying for a video game development role. Do you have any prior experience in video game development?
Yeah, so through school to start with, not on top of learning the basics of, C++, Java, Python, things like that, many of the projects involved things that are related to, or even just flat out programming video games, such as making an Othello game, which then later I also made an AI that played it. And then things like Tic-Tac-Toe and Connect 4. So, fairly simple things, but they really do lay good groundwork. And then on top of that, so my own personal project is currently this platforming game that's really early in development, so I apologize if I don't have anything to show you with it.
No worries.
But I really wanted to try and make it unique. I didn't want to just make it another jump platform. And, I want to try and implement some interesting mechanics or something, because as much as I'm into development, I also kind of want to try design. So I think this is a good, mix of the two.
Cool. Yeah, it'd be great to see if this comes to reality for you, and awesome to see if it comes to market, or maybe you can work on it here.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Awesome. Cool. So those are all the questions we had for you today. Do you have any questions for me or about the company?
Yeah, I do. So I just wanted to ask, personally to you, how do you think the company's, workflow is? And I guess by that I mean, how do you feel that people mesh and the general workplace environment is?
Right, absolutely. So we practice a very agile kind of workflow. We are we're very pushy for communication. We want to make sure everyone's communicating and responsible for their own tasks. And we're kind of a very open office culture where people are not nested in cubicles here. People actively discuss with their neighbors about different projects and stuff. If you run into a challenge, don't just get your head stuck. You have you heard of the term rubber duck debugging?
I can't say I have. But
So it's basically where being able to talk to someone else about the issue you've been having, right? If you're stuck on one bug, having a new perspective can really help you. So things like that kind of fuel our workplace.
Okay.
And of course, being passionate about the video game industry and what you're building, because a lot of the developers here, we are gamers ourselves, so we don't put out quality products that other gamers enjoy, because seeing other people love games, just kind of fuels our drive and just continues the company going.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions?
No, I think that'll do it. I'm clear.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we look forward to talking to you soon, and we'll reach out in about 2 weeks.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Have a great day.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
All right.